Hi, I'm Eric Westrich, and you're watching Startup Show San Diego, a startup TV show about startup companies. And it's time for Startup Week again here in San Diego, and we're at Startup Central HQ, which is Wework Cowork. And we're here with Tim Ryan, co-founder of Startup San Diego, co-founder of Lab Fellows, and better known as the Party Pink Elephant, which we'll go over later. Tim, welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So Startup San Diego started, you were there. Why did you get involved personally?
So a lot of where Startup San Diego, a lot of people think that there's like this massive meeting of people that came together and was just like, here's what we're going to do, and poof, here's Startup San Diego. And it really came from founders who were working on companies, and we were running into similar problems, similar issues, and just generally talking, it was like, okay, fine, we're tired of this not being a thing, so being entrepreneurial and type A go-getters, we just went and fine, we'll just build it. And so it started from simple, small events of meetup groups, helping on different things. My introduction into it, at the time, I was the lead organizer for Startup Weekend in San Diego. Putting that on was basically like, okay, we want to bring other communities and silos, which at the time, San Diego was highly siloed. So everybody was kind of doing something for entrepreneurs, but they were silos that weren't talking to each other. And so we came in as like, why don't we just break that down, start working together, and how can we make that a better experience? And then we started out with small events, and then bigger events, and then the catalyst of let's do a startup week to highlight what is going on good in San Diego. And originally it was around San Diego Venture Group's Venture Summit. So basically we were trying to hijack around that and trying to pull VCs out to see, hey, here's really cool stuff, and highlight. And it was, the first week was, saying it was 12 events is like a big stretch. It was like we kind of had 12-ish things going on that we called a week, but it was more of just here's individual events that were loosely tied together. And then by year 2, going through and growing, it was still very individually based. Startup San Diego was kind of a thing, but it was more of San Diego Startup Week, where these individuals that host their own different things in the community are getting together. And the second year, we tried to formalize it more to a week, still around Venture Summit, tying things together. And this time, instead of having 12 individual tickets, we went to one ticket that got into everything. And it wasn't really until about year 3 that the big changes and the evolution to where we are today kind of started.
So you were operating your own company at the time. Did you find any direct benefits of your involvement with this group in terms of your own success or progress in your company?
Yes, but I would go to one thing on this that's first and foremost. It's one of the core ethos of Techstars, and they promote this of the give first, which is simply give before you take type of thing, and always give without the specific idea that a benefit is coming from that. So don't be like, yes, I'll do that because I'm going to get more business, or I do that for unexpected return.
So your big involvement in this whole thing was just because you had a passion for making a difference, you liked the people that you were...
Well, it wasn't more for the passion for making a difference, that's all founders in general, but it more was, I had a startup, and it wasn't in San Diego. We grew really fast, had insane numbers, and then we burnt and blew up 5 times faster than we grew. And a lot of that occurred because there wasn't a support ecosystem around. And particularly for first-time founders and going through things, you really don't know what you don't know. And when you're growing and you're at incredible rates of growth, you are blinded to all your glaring other holes in the, you may be getting more customers, having good sales, but that doesn't mean you're building a company. You are selling something, you are attracting some interest, but you're not building core things to your company. And because of not having that, our company blew up when it should have been able to no, stop doing that. You can do other things. Like, you guys continue doing this, we'll fix this all other problems, so you can focus on it. And it's everything from what are you building? What is the value? Is this really a problem you're fixing? To, hey, you need to talk to specific advisors that can help connect you and get you going, to investors, who are the right investors, and all that.
So in terms of building this startup San Diego, are you surprised at where it's gone in 5 years?
No, not at all. Where it's at, some of it's been surprising on things.
What's the most surprising thing?
The most surprising thing, probably the most surprising thing in general, is how quickly, you hear about that inflection point that everything changes. And so the year 3 of Startup Week was that inflection point. And so that was the year. After year 2, we learned a lot of stuff. And looking back, the week itself wasn't, we had some good events, we had some bad events, but one glaring thing was we had an event for every time period. And so you would have a great attendance, 150 people at an event, which is amazing, especially at 1 o'clock. But then it's a lawyer talking about venture funding, and you're in a room with 150 people and 10 are engaged in it. And so you have 140 people that are just doing I have no idea. And so on that reflection, I came back and said okay, we've done 12 events and 150 people. What we need to do is create the track system. And that's where we are today. And it was trying to convince people who we barely pulled off 16 events is that, okay, I want to go to 40 events.
So we've gone from 12 events to 12 tracks and over 250 events.
It's that much this year?
It's that much this year. So, and of course, one of them is the startup crawl. So the real question is, will you be in costume this startup crawl? And if so, will we see the party pink elephant again?
I do not repeat costumes, and I do not tell what I'm going to do.
We'll try and get that captured so we know. Final question, what are you most excited about right now?
I'm very excited about the evolution of the ecosystem. And a lot of things you get from people is that San Diego isn't quite there, or it's not comparable to any other region, which is true. I think we're way better with more potential. And going across all the different companies, we're now at that stage where we have a lot of very good companies that are going to start to explode. And once those start going, that's where the next inflection of the growth in the community should start occur, when you have big exits, more exciting exits, and then those in turn produce more investors, new ideas, new entrepreneurs, and it becomes more of a self-fulfilling prophecy of growth within an ecosystem.
Fantastic. So if somebody wants to learn more about what you're doing, about keeping up with you and Lab Fellows, where do they go?
For Lab Fellows, check out our website, labfellows.com. For me, if I'm particularly at anything social, it'll be on my Twitter is Story of a Startup or everything. If you're learning to break into the startup community or anything, go to startupsd.org and always feel free to reach out to me directly.
Tim, thank you for everything you've done and for what you do.
Oh,
and
thank you.
Thank you for watching.